7 players who could be transferred to the Saudi Pro League this summer. This is a league that wants to build, and around the infrastructure that's put in place, railway services, hotels, not just for football obviously, but for the country itself, but connecting cities and places together in this big vast country is going to be super important for this football league to develop. The grassroots is being built, there's certain rules coming around developing young players. It's not just a case of just chuck loads of cash at it, but I've got a feeling this summer they might continue to chuck some cash at it, because the summer is a time when you can really put your mark on the rest of the world of football. You can attract players, money does talk, and the project is something that is very interesting. This is not going to stop until 2034 in my opinion. They've got the World Cup. I think this is not a flash in the pan. Other sports, the golf, the boxing, it's taken a bit of time to develop over time. It's just the norm now, and I think football is going a similar way, and some players will be open-minded to that. And I think the Saudi Pro League started to get a bit of a tag around. It's where players go when they're older. Obviously, signing Ronaldo when he was 38, etc. But, you know, Neymar was not somebody who was past it. Certainly Gabby Vega, who went to Al Ahly, certainly not past it. You know, Laporte. You know, these are very good players, very influential players for their current teams. Mane, are you telling me there's any Premier League club that wouldn't take Mane? I know Liverpool will take him back in a heartbeat, right? So these are players who are making the move despite there being potentially other options elsewhere. Yes, it is going to be rewarding financially, but there is a place there that this is going to become a desirable place, even more so over time to go to. And the first player I'm going to talk about is Mr. Mo Salah. Yes, he was heavily linked last summer with a move to Etihad. There were rumours of a £150 million bid. The reason it didn't happen, it doesn't sound like Mo Salah was against the idea. It sounds more like it was a case of it was just a bit too late in the window. Liverpool didn't have a position really to replace him in that sort of time frame. I think they would have taken the money if it was maybe a month earlier with the idea. I mean, they've got players like Harvey Elliott, Luis Diaz who can play out wide. Even Darwin Núñez can do the role. But Salah is king. You know, he's been their god for many, many years, and the idea of losing that player a couple of weeks before the season just didn't seem very sensible. I think they also know that the offer will come back. Will it be 150 million? Salah has not been on fire this season. When he went to Egypt and got injured, he hasn't really recovered from that. Liverpool kind of faded away with that. Klopp is going at the end of the season. Is there a link there? Did he know Mo Salah's leaving? What has also happened is there seems to be a fallout between Salah and Klopp, which could lean towards a move for Salah. And it does seem if Mo Salah's going to go anywhere, it will be the Saudi Pro League eventually. Obviously, he's got connections in Egypt, and he goes there quite a lot from there, of course. So that'll be an interesting one to watch out. His partner in crime at Liverpool, Allison, probably the best goalkeeper in the Premier League, has been linked heavily with a move to the Saudi Pro League. Now, Liverpool got good backup in Killahan, who has stepped in for Allison many, many times this season. And the one thing I want to talk about with someone like Allison is financial fair play in this country, okay? Financial fair play, when Everton got deducted points, it really stung the league, and it was shown in the transfer spend in January how many teams are very, very close to the line. So I think there's going to be a lot of balance in the books in this country, and people want to spend. There is almost like you have to spend in the summer transfer window, otherwise it's deemed you're not ambitious. But I think teams are going to look to steady the books, and selling someone like Allison to the Saudi Pro League could make a lot of sense for Liverpool. They've got a very, very, very good reserve goalkeeper. You could command north of 60 million still for Allison. I think they bought him for a similar amount. I mean, he's a bit older now, but goalkeepers, you know, it's not really an age, it's not an issue. It could make more sense than people realise. And then suddenly, the Saudi Pro League have grabbed hold of probably the best goalkeeper in the Premier League, I should say. Talking of best player in the Premier League, Kevin De Bruyne. These links will not go away. Okay, now Kevin De Bruyne is of an age where he's won everything over and over and over again. There is a thing with him and Pep. I don't know if anyone else notices it and stuff, but he never finishes a 90 minutes. I don't know if it's an injury or what it is, but he never seems to finish 90 minutes. It's like Pep doesn't trust him over the course of 90 minutes. Of course, he is an exceptional footballer. He always delivers. He puts it on a plate for Haaland, left, right and centre. But again, you look at some of the players they got coming through, Phil Foden emerging. Their academy is rife with wonderful, wonderful talent. De Bruyne has been there longer than anybody, I think, when it comes to their team. And if a bid of 50 million plus came in for Kevin De Bruyne, could we honestly say it would be rejected? Links with Nasser to go with Cristiano Ronaldo, that sounds very interesting to me. I don't know. Look, I think, again, people would be foolish to say that that's not possible, okay? I think the money's there to attract the probably the best player in the Premier League right now. So suddenly the best goalkeeper and the best player are going to the Saudi Pro League. Now I know they're pushing over 30, but by no stretch of the imagination are they over the hill. They're just buying the best. Number 4, Bruno Fernandez. Again, links with Nasser. It seems like Nasser are open-minded to get someone in that sort of 10 role. There's suggestions that Portugal are watching the Saudi Pro League very closely. Now that could obviously be linked to the Cristiano Ronaldo effect. Ronaldo's only got 1 year left on his contract, and Bruno, what's a footballer? He has probably been the only light at Manchester United during the last, what do you want to call it, 3 to 5 years? There's been flashes from Rashford and there's been flashes from other people, but in general, Bruno's only been the one consistent. But again, and I repeat, new ownership have come in at Manchester United. There's lots of changes going in. There could be an element of out with the old and in with the new. And Bruno Fernandes would balance the books very nicely for FFP. Yet they could still command 60, 70 million pounds for Bruno. I don't think there's anybody in that squad they can command that sort of money for. So it could make sense for Manchester United, not just the Saudi Pro League, but for Manchester United to let Bruno Fernandes go. And suddenly, you got Manchester United's best player, you got the best player in the Premier League, and the best goalkeeper all going to the Saudi Pro League. Next one up. This one looks very likely, I think. Varan. I mean, there could be an MLS offer or something like that, but Varan is out of contract at Manchester United. He was on outrageous money. He was in the top 5 highest paid players in the Premier League. Lots of injuries at Manchester United. His form has kind of fallen off a bit of a cliff since his Real Madrid days. Obviously, many Champions Leagues at Real Madrid and league titles. A World Cup winner, of course. Free transfer. When a player comes up for a free transfer, the Saudi Pro League is going to be very, very, very heavily invested, because this is a country. When I say the country, I mean obviously it's a PIF funding the big 4, Hilal, Nasser, Ali, and Ittihad. But by the way, with clubs like Qadsiya coming up from the First Division being owned by Aramco, Shabab are they're spending money as well. Ettifaq have flexed their muscles in the past. It's not just a big 4 thing. There is money coming in from sponsorship of companies outside of the PIF fund. But I think Varan is someone, as a free transfer, he would fit very nicely into that Nasser back 4. Okay, Nasser have been terrible defensively, and I think obviously they've obviously they've got a back 4, but Laporte is the standout man there, and he could slot in quite nicely next to him, and that seems to make sense to me on a free transfer. And can you imagine the money Varan could command? No one else is going to be able to compete with that, unless Varan doesn't want to go to Saudi Arabia. I can see that being very, very, very likely. The next one I'm saying on here is just to kind of mix up the clubs a little bit. Thomas Partey has been injured most of the season. The Arsenal midfielder is a wonderful footballer, but since he's come back from his injury, he's slotted back in next to Declan Rice. Arsenal have been very, very solid this season, and Partey has helped out with that. Doesn't quite look as gifted on the ball as he used to. I mean, before he got injured, he was like probably the dictator of the Arsenal midfield. Seems like he slowed up a little bit, but there's been links with Thomas Partey to Ittihad to join sort of Kante and Fabinho midfield. That sounds like quite a good midfield if you ask me. Who knows, right? It seems to make sense. I think Thomas Partey was bought for £35 million. He's on £220,000 a week at Arsenal. Obviously, like I said, they spent £100 million on Declan Rice. Jorginho has just signed a new contract. Havertz slots into that midfield area as well. I mean, they're not blessed with lots of midfielders, Arsenal, so maybe that might make it a non-starter. But again, to balance FFP, to get that wage bill down, to start again on a new midfielder could make sense. And last but not least, going into Newcastle, who are obviously run by the same fund as the Big 4, PIF. I'm going to say Miguel Almiron. Now, Miguel Almiron was linked heavily with Shabab, which ironically enough isn't a PIF funded club, in January transfer window. It looked like it was going to get over the line. It didn't happen in the end. It looked like Almiron didn't want to go. But what I would say, since then, Harvey Barnes has come through at Newcastle very heavily. So they're pretty much playing Harvey Barnes and Gordon on the flank, sometimes Jacob Murphy with Isak up top, and that's more set in stone. Before, you didn't really know what Newcastle's front three was going to be, and Almiron was part of it. He was electric last season, Almiron. Hasn't quite had the form this year, hasn't had the games really, but again, it's somebody who is a Premier League established footballer. He actually, one of the best stories about Almiron was how Jack Grealish took the mick out of him, and he responded the following season by outdoing Grealish's stats tenfold, and Grealish is obviously a £100 million footballer. So just want to look out for. I wanted to make sure we're not just talking about the top 4 clubs, and Shabab I think can be heavily into Almiron, and that'll be a good signing. There will be, in my opinion, signings like Damari Gray, who is mid-20s, a younger guy. Gabby Vega, these sort of signs here. The Saudi Pro League are very, very keen to show that it is not just a when your career's over type thing. They want to make sure there's quality in that league. They want to make sure that there is a journey through the league. They've increased the amount of foreign players you can have from 8 to 10, but the extra 2 have to be born after 2003. And that means, I think that could equal quite a solid loan market in the Saudi Pro League from teams in England. Now, I'm not saying, I don't know who that looks like. It could be an Oscar Bob at Man City. It could be an Ethan Unanari at Arsenal. But these sort of guys, why not? Why not go to the Saudi Pro League and learn your craft over there amongst some of the best players of all time? I think it's something that could happen. It'll be a big change. Usually in this country, you loan players to the Championship or below League One or what have you. And again, look, I think that will still be the case, right? There's a great learning curve to go and do that. But as a new market, bear in mind a lot of Europe is struggling financially when it comes to balancing the books. Barcelona and Real Madrid, I mean, to a certain extent, Real Madrid are flexing their muscle, but Barcelona certainly are not. And maybe that's another video to do around La Liga and what players might go from there to the Saudi Pro League. I think that could be something that could be quite interesting, especially from Barcelona's side. What I'm saying is, who knows? It's going to be an exciting time. I'm going to be reporting 2 to 3 times a week on the transfers, keeping an eye out. You've got the manager market as well, likes of Jose Mourinho, very much linked to Qadsiha, the new Aramco side into the league, who got promoted last season. We shall see, but it's going to be an exciting summer. I'll be reporting all the way, and I will look forward to catching up with you all very, very soon. Goodbye.